Great. Everyone, again, Matt Commissioner John Steinbrecher. Following commissioners giving a statement, we'll have time for questions. Once again, use that raise hand feature and we'll open the mic and there will be time to ask commissioner questions. With that, John, floor is yours.
Thanks, Jeremy. Good afternoon to everyone. It's it's hard to believe we've completed a regular season football season, and it's championship time and bowl time. And speaking of bowls, we know we'll have 6 teams in bowl games. It'll mark the 8th time we've had 6 or more teams advance or be selected for bowl games. I think that's exciting. Those matchups will be announced Sunday early afternoon, so you can be looking for that. Obviously, as you know, our championship game is Saturday, noon kickoff here at Ford Field, also televised on ESPN. This will mark our 20th game at Ford Field and the 27th time that we have hosted a football championship game. And it's a great matchup. You're getting a chance to talk to the coaches and players today, but an 11-1 Toledo, a 10-2 Miami. Wow. I'm really looking forward to that. 2 items I wanted to share with you specifically today. First one, with regards to Ford Field, we have concluded a 1-year extension with Ford Field to serve as the host of our football championship game, which will now take us through the 2025 season. Ford Field is a special place for this conference, for our student athletes, and I think for our fans. It is something we all point to. And it's a marvelous venue. We talk about being in the upper Midwest, to have a chance to bring this game indoors. We know it's going to be 72 and sunny, which will provide a wonderful, wonderful place for the student athletes to compete. And we don't have to worry about the game being decided by the varieties of weather. And the fans can come and have a marvelous experience as well. We continue to be the only non-autonomous FBS conference that has a neutral site venue, and particularly one at an NFL site. And we are really appreciative of the relationship we have with the Detroit Lions and Ford Field. And I really very much want to thank Detroit Lions President Rod Wood and our day-to-day contact, Brad Michaels, who have been so instrumental in working with us and been very gracious in all we do here. The second item has to do with our football schedule. Beginning with the 2024 football season, we will move to a non-divisional football schedule. And this is a decision that was made really after study and contemplation and discussion over the course of about a year. And the discussion really began with, what model, how should we schedule to help us try and get our best teams every year into the championship game? And so we looked at that quite a bit. And how our schedule will roll out is our schools will be placed into one of 4 partner group, I would say protected partner groupings. And so we'll have Buffalo, Akron, and Kent together, Ohio, Miami, Ball State together, Toledo, Bowling Green, and NIU together, and Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Western Michigan together. Those protected groupings, they will play each other every year. And then with the remainder of the institutions, they will rotate through the schedule. And so this provides us an opportunity, 1, to protect rivalries and pay some attention to geographic proximity. Second, it'll allow us to establish our schedule so that every student athlete, if they stay 4 years, will have a chance to play home and away at each member institution. I'm not sure there'll be any other conference that will be able to achieve that, and it'll be the first time we've achieved that, probably since we went to 12 teams. And so we're looking forward to that. We will announce the opponents for future years at the end of January, and then we will roll out the 2024 schedule at the end of February. So again, we'll release the future opponents end of January, and then the 24 schedule will come out at the end of February. Jeremy, that's all I have. Be glad to field a question or two.
Sure. First we'll go to Chris Vanini from The Athletic. Chris, your microphone is open.
I was going to ask something else, but the divisions news right there kind of changed my mind. What was the fact that everybody else pretty much has gotten rid of divisions? I think other than maybe the Sun Belt, how much did that play a role as you look into it in terms of getting rid of divisions?
I think you're certainly aware of it. I don't think that was a driving factor. I think as soon as the rule was changed that, for so long you had to be in 12 or more teams, you had to be in divisions to be able to compete a championship game. When that rule went away, it started to make sense to examine what are we doing and how are we doing it. And again, I go back to, it started for us with a question of, are we set up to get our best teams to Detroit every year? And that's where it evolved from. And I think a lot of discussion with our administrators. I know it was with our coaches at a meeting or two. And so I really commend the membership for being deliberate and looking at this from a lot of different angles. I'm excited about what this means moving forward. I really like the idea of everyone getting to see everybody in the conference on a regular basis. That's one of the things with our prior scheduling formats that has always eaten at me a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that.
And with Toledo being 11-1, they're ranked in the polls, not the CFP. Do you think they need to get stronger? New Year's Six consideration for that spot?
Yeah, well, of course I do. And in fact, on my way up to Detroit today, we had one of our regular calls with our liaisons with the CFP selection committee, which we do, oh gosh, I think it's every 2 or 3 weeks. And spent time talking about actually both Toledo and Miami in terms of what can differentiate them out there. Both have had fine seasons. If we zero in on Toledo, you look at a team that's so incredibly balanced. They've been dominant offensively in our league. I think they're top of the rankings in virtually every category offensively. Top 3 or 4 in most of the defensive categories nationally, top 25 on both sides of the ball. So very, very balanced there. The CFP committee has, they're focused on this season, but I don't think you can ignore kind of the build up to these things. So you look back over the past few years, every game they've played in has been incredibly close. If they haven't won it, it's been incredibly close. And I go back to, that 3-point loss at Notre Dame just a couple years ago, things like that. Last team to beat Liberty, by the way, was the Toledo team. Both teams are very similar from that game a year ago. And so, yeah, I do think they deserve significant consideration. Probably going to need a little assistance with what goes on in the American Championship game. So we'll be watching that with interest. But regardless, I think both teams should be celebrated for what they've achieved. And there's more to go. Bowl games are important for us. We need to show up and we need to compete hard and hopefully win our fair share of them.
Next, we'll go to Kyle Rowland from the Toledo Blade. Kyle, your microphone's open.
Just ask my question, so I'll ask a different variation of it. Just Toledo specifically, just how big of an opportunity is this with the potential New Year's Six Bowl for the university and the MAC?
Well, the New Year's Six games are bowl games on steroids, quite frankly. I mean, the level of interest is magnified. The experience, all bowl experiences are really neat, really great. Once you've been to a New Year's Six game, the things they do around it are very special. And then simply the attention. I mean, talk to the 2 schools in our league that have been there and what they went through and what that meant and the number of eyeballs that are going to be on that TV game when it's there. The chance to really energize your fan base. Those are marvelous opportunities. And certainly we want to grab them every time we have the opportunity to.
Any other further questions? Oh, we do have one. Alex Shear, go ahead, Alex, with your question.
Yeah, just wanted to ask, obviously we're getting ready to switch the playoff model to the 12 team this coming season. There's been concern about, are they shifting the model to a 5+7? What has that started to look like now with the Pac-12 dissolving? What are those conversations looking like? Are we going to look at just sticking with 6 conference champions? Do you have any more insight on that?
Yeah, no final decisions have been made on that, in part because we don't have complete information on how the Pac-12 situation is going to wind itself down. I think from an initial conceptual level, we went to the 6-6 model, 6 highest rated champions of the 10 conferences. I think if we end up at 9 conference, excuse me, let me back up. If we end up moving from 5 autonomy conferences to 4 autonomy conferences, I think it matches with the spirit of what was trying to be built to move to a 5-7 model. I believe we could support that, but we don't have a final decision on that yet. Whether we're able to make a decision on that in January or it's later this spring, so be it. But I think we're tracking that way, but we've got to have all the details ironed out.
And to kind of expand on that a little bit further, do you think that it's going to result in hurting the group of 5 if they do move to that model? I know I'm kind of speaking a little vague here, but I guess that's the concern from a lot of the followers on Twitter, things like that, that are looking at this potential restructure. Is the group of 5 going to eventually look at breaking off and doing their own playoff if this continues to move in a way where they're going to be affected in a worse manner?
I think, well, I don't think we would be, if a 5-7 model wouldn't treat us in a worse manner from where I'm sitting. We have the same opportunities we had previously. And in fact, the expanded playoff, I think, provides us greater opportunity than we've had previously. And then it's incumbent upon us as Mid-American Conference institutions to let's rise up and let's accept that challenge and let's put together the types of years necessary to do so. We spend an awful lot of time segmenting the 10 FBS/CFP conferences. We don't compete as, there's not a power group and a group of 5 that do the thing. We're all CFP conferences. We're all FBS conferences. We're all swimming in that pool, and that's why we're here. So no, I have absolutely no interest in running off and doing a separate championship. I'm here to help our institutions gain that opportunity to compete in the college football playoff.
Okay, we have time for one more. It's a follow-up from Chris Vanini. Chris, your microphone is open.
Yeah, on conference championship games, I guess, in moving away from divisions with the expanded playoff, what do you think the future of conference championship games are? Do you think it's possible they go away at some point, especially with nobody having divisions anymore?
I hope they don't go away. I think they've been exceptional in terms of providing kind of a focal point at that end of the season. There's a lot to play for. Conference championships are rare. It's hard to win them. Conference championships are incredibly exciting and energizing events for the institutions that participate in them. There is value in them, both intrinsically and extrinsically. It adds value to our television contracts. It adds value to our institutions in regards to energizing their fan bases and the things that come to it. And I think it adds value to the student athlete experience. I don't know why we'd want to go away from them right now. I've heard rumblings about that. Past couple of weeks, I've had some people talking about that. And I'm not sure what the advantage of that would be, quite frankly. I think the drama that's going to come around these things is just phenomenal. And I would hate to see them go away. And I also recognize that each conference is going to have to step up to that question. And perhaps some people look at it differently than, and again, I'm talking as John Steinbrecher. We've not spent time with our athletics directors or coaches or presidents talking about that. But I guess I would just be stunned if within our league, we'd want to do something different.
Appreciate it.
All right, Commissioner, want to thank you for your time this afternoon. Again, for the media on the call, we will be sending out releases of both the extension and the schedule format change. So, John, want to thank you again, and we'll see you around the stadium here this weekend.